Welcome to this deep dive. Looks like we're diving into Vicki Robin's Your Money or Your Life.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from a YouTube video summarizing the book. And I have to say, this video, it really gets to the heart of some powerful ideas
It does.
about how we view our time and energy and money, of course.
It really does. It frames the whole conversation around this idea of life energy,
Okay.
which is such a powerful way to think about work and income.
Okay. Let's unpack that a little.
It's not just about dollars and cents. It's about the hours of your life you're exchanging for that money.
So life energy, it's like saying time equals money.
Exactly.
But flipped on its head, right? You're not just earning a paycheck. You're literally trading chunks of your life for it.
Exactly. And the video dives right into that concept in the first two chapters, the money trap.
Okay.
And money ain't what it used to be.
Right.
It challenges that traditional idea that material wealth equals happiness.
Yeah.
Something we've all probably felt pressured by at some point.
Totally. Like, how many of us are stuck in jobs we don't love just to keep up with expenses? I know I've been there. But this book pushes us to ask, is chasing money truly fulfilling? Or are we missing out on things that actually matter more, like experiences, relationships, and purpose?
Yeah.
Those things don't usually show up on a balance sheet,
Right.
but they're what make life rich, right?
Absolutely. And there's a ton of research to back that up. Material possessions, that new car, smell the excitement of a shopping spree. It fades so quickly. But the joy of spending time with loved ones,
Yeah.
learning new things or pursuing your passions, that kind of fulfillment tends to stick around.
So how do we break free from this more is better trap that society seems to push on us? The video jumps into the practical side of things with Chapter 3, Tracking Your Life Energy. And you know me, I love getting into the nitty-gritty.
This is where the book gets really hands-on. It encourages you to track every dollar you earn and spend,
Okay.
but not just to create a budget.
Right.
It's about becoming aware of where your life energy is going. Think about it like this. You're literally making a map of how you're trading your precious hours.
I love that visual. So it's not just about pinching pennies.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that every purchase represents a piece of your life.
Uh-huh.
You buy a fancy coffee that's 15 minutes you spent at work,
Right.
a new gadget, maybe that's a whole weekend you traded.
Exactly. And when you start seeing your spending through that lens, it can be a real wake-up call. You might realize you're spending a lot of your life energy on things that don't really bring you joy or align with your values. But the good news is, once you have that awareness, you can start making different choices.
You know what's interesting to me is that the book doesn't just stop at tracking expenses. It takes it a step further with Chapter 4, How Much is Enough? It's almost like it's asking us to redefine our relationship with money altogether.
Right. This chapter is all about shifting your mindset. Instead of constantly striving for more, it asks you to define what enough looks like for you. It's about breaking free from that feeling of never having enough and recognizing that contentment and happiness aren't tied to the size of your bank account.
So we've got this concept of life energy. We're tracking our spending, and we're starting to question what enough really means. Then Chapter 5 hits us with making your life energy visible. Are we talking vision boards here?
Not quite. This is where the book gets super visual.
Okay.
It encourages you to actually create charts and graphs that represent your income and expenses in terms of hours worked. You could color-code a calendar to show how you spend your time,
I see.
or create a bar graph where each bar represents an hour of your life and you label it with how you spent that hour.
Wow, okay.
Working, sleeping, hobbies, family time.
Whoa, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I can almost feel the aha moment coming on for our listener right now. It's one thing to read about tracking expenses, but to actually see how much of your life you're trading to certain things, that has to change your perspective.
It really does. It puts things into sharp focus. You might see that a huge chunk of your week is spent earning money to pay for a lifestyle you don't even fully enjoy.
Right.
It can be a huge motivator to start simplifying your life, finding ways to earn money, doing something you love, or even just appreciating the free time you do have more.
This is already making me rethink my weekend plans. Maybe swap that shopping trip for a hike and some quality time with friends, something that truly recharges my life energy instead of draining it.
That's the kind of shift this book can inspire. It's not about deprivation. It's about being intentional with how you spend your time and energy. And that leads us to Chapter 6, where the book tackles a pretty big concept, the American dream on a shoestring.
Now, everyone knows that phrase, American dream.
Right.
But this chapter seems to be turning it on its head.
It challenges the idea that A house, a fancy car, and all the latest gadgets. It suggests that maybe, just maybe,
Okay.
there's a way to find happiness, security, and opportunity without having to accumulate a ton of stuff.
So what would you say the book proposes instead? Trading in the SUV for a bicycle and a tiny house.
It's not necessarily about going to extremes. It's about recognizing that the things we often associate with the American dream can actually be a burden. They require more money,
Right.
more time working to pay for them,
Yeah.
and more energy to maintain them.
Right.
This chapter encourages you to think about what truly brings you joy and fulfillment,
Okay.
and to create a version of the American dream that aligns with those values.
It's like asking, what if the dream isn't about the stuff, but about the freedom and flexibility that come with living below your means?
Exactly. What if the dream is about having more time to spend with loved ones,
Yeah.
pursuing your passions, or simply enjoying the simple things in life? This chapter challenges us to redefine what success looks like and to create a life that's rich in experiences and relationships, not just material possessions.
Now, that's a deep dive into the American dream. We've covered a lot of ground in these first 6 chapters. What stands out to you so far?
For me, it's how the book connects seemingly simple actions, like tracking your spending, to these bigger questions about what we truly value in life. It's not just about personal finance, it's about designing a life that feels meaningful and aligned with your unique definition of success.
Absolutely. And it's all rooted in this idea of life energy, making conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy to create a life that feels truly fulfilling. But we're only halfway through this deep dive.
Right.
There's a lot more to unpack, so stay tuned for more insights from your money or your life.
You know, one thing that really struck me about the first half of this video is how it encourages us to actually visualize our life energy.
Right, not just track it in a spreadsheet, but actually create a visual representation of how we're spending our time.
Exactly. It's one thing to see numbers on a page,
Yeah.
but when you actually see those numbers transformed into like chunks of time on a calendar or a bar graph,
Yeah.
it really hits home.
It's like holding up a mirror to your life, isn't it? You can't hide from the reality of
Right.
how you're spending your precious hours.
And that can be incredibly motivating.
Yeah.
It might inspire you to make changes, even small ones, to create more space in your life for the things that truly matter.
Now, the video also touched on the idea of questioning the traditional definition of the American dream. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that the American dream, as is often portrayed, can actually be a trap.
Okay.
It can lead us down a path of consumerism and debt, always striving for more, but never really feeling satisfied.
It's like we're on a treadmill, constantly running, but never getting anywhere.
Exactly. And that's where the concept of enough comes in.
Yeah.
It's about stepping off that treadmill and asking yourself what truly matters to you. What brings you joy and fulfillment? It's not about denying yourself nice things. It's about being more intentional with your choices and recognizing that true wealth isn't measured by the size of your bank account.
So it's about finding freedom, not just financial freedom, but freedom from the constant pressure to consume and accumulate.
Precisely. It's about creating a life where you feel content and fulfilled rather than always striving for something more.
Speaking of freedom, the video also talks about reaching a crossover point where your investment income exceeds your expenses.
Right.
That sounds like the ultimate form of financial freedom.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Imagine having the financial security to pursue your passions, spend time with loved ones, and contribute to your community without having to worry about earning a paycheck.
It sounds like a dream come true, but I imagine it takes a lot of discipline and planning to get there.
It does. It's not about getting rich quick.
Right.
It's about making smart, sustainable choices with your money over the long term. It's about delayed gratification, knowing that the sacrifices you make today will pay off in a big way down the road.
So it's about recognizing that every dollar you spend is a choice.
Yeah,
It's a choice between immediate gratification and long-term goals.
exactly. And the sooner you start making those choices with intention, the sooner you can start moving toward financial freedom.
For someone who's maybe feeling overwhelmed by the idea of reaching financial independence, what's a good first step they can take?
I think the most important thing is to start tracking your income and expenses.
Okay.
That's the foundation of everything else.
Got it.
It gives you a clear picture of where your money is going and allows you to identify areas where you can make adjustments. Once you have a good understanding of your spending habits, you can start looking for ways to reduce expenses without sacrificing your quality of life.
Okay.
Maybe that means cooking at home more often, finding free or low-cost entertainment options, or downsizing your living space. It's about finding creative ways to enjoy life without overspending.
So it's not about depriving yourself, it's about being more mindful and intentional with your spending.
Exactly. It's about making choices that align with your values and long-term goals.
The video also emphasizes the importance of investing as a path to financial freedom. But for a lot of people, investing can feel intimidating. Where do you even begin?
It's true. Investing can seem complicated, but there are a lot of great resources available to help you get started. There are books, podcasts, online courses, and even financial advisors who can provide personalized guidance.
Right.
The key is to educate yourself and find resources that you trust.
So it's about taking the time to learn the basics and finding a strategy that feels comfortable for you.
Absolutely. And remember, investing is a long-term game. It's not about getting rich quick.
Right.
It's about building wealth gradually over time.
Now, this video summary also touched on the idea of aligning your work with your values.
Yes, this is such an important point. It's about asking yourself, am I spending my life energy on work that brings me joy and fulfillment? Or am I just going through the motions, trading my time for a paycheck?
I think that's something a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Maybe they're in a job they don't love but feel stuck because of financial obligations. What advice would you give someone in that situation?
It's a tough spot to be in, but even if you can't make a drastic career change right away, there are still things you can do to start moving in the right direction.
Like what?
Maybe you can take some online courses or workshops to develop new skills that align with your interests.
I see.
Or maybe you can start a side hustle that brings you joy and allows you to explore different career paths.
So it's about taking small steps, even if you're not in a position to make a big leap right away.
Exactly. Every little step you take towards aligning your work with your values will bring you closer to a life where you feel more fulfilled and energized.
It's about reclaiming the life energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shifting it from something that feels draining to something that feels invigorating.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is when you're working on something you're passionate about, it doesn't even feel like work.
Right.
It feels like you're living your purpose.
And that's a powerful feeling.
Yeah.
It's about more than just a paycheck. It's about finding meaning and fulfillment in what you do.
You know, as we're talking about all of this, I keep thinking back to that image of creating a visual representation of your life energy.
Uh-huh.
It's such a powerful tool for making conscious choices about how you spend your time.
It really is, because when you see it laid out in front of you, it's harder to ignore the areas where you might be out of alignment.
Right.
Maybe you're spending too much time working at a job that drains you.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're not making enough time for the things that truly bring you joy.
Exactly. And by becoming aware of those imbalances, you can start making adjustments to create a life that feels more balanced and fulfilling.
And it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about making progress one step at a time.
You got it. It's about being kind to yourself, recognizing that change takes time, and celebrating the small wins along the way.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like we've covered so much ground, from tracking expenses to redefining the American dream to finding work that aligns with our values.
It's amazing how all of these concepts are interconnected, isn't it? It really shows how your money or your life goes beyond just financial advice. It's a roadmap for creating a life that feels meaningful and authentic.
And it all starts with making conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about money.
Right.
It's about living a life that's rich in experiences, relationships, and purpose.
Well said. And as we wrap up this deep dive, what's one key takeaway you'd like to leave our listener with?
If you could walk away with just one thing, it would be this. Your time and energy are your most valuable resources.
Okay.
Don't squander them on things that don't matter.
Right.
Invest them in things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose.
It makes you realize that maybe some of those things that we think are essential actually aren't.
Yeah.
And maybe we can find joy and contentment in a simpler way of life.
It's about shifting our focus from material possessions to experiences and relationships.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that true wealth isn't measured by the size of your bank account,
Right.
but by the richness of your life.
It's about aligning your spending with your values
Yes.
and making sure that your money is supporting the life you want to live.
And it's about being mindful of the trade-offs we're making every day. Every time we spend money, we're also spending our life energy.
Exactly. And that life energy is precious. You only get so much of it.
So we need to be thoughtful about how we use it.
Right. It's not about deprivation.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices.
And finding joy in the things that truly matter.
You know, this whole conversation has really got me thinking about my own life.
Yeah, me too.
And how I can be more intentional with my time and energy.
I think that's one of the most powerful things about this book.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you question your assumptions and challenge the status quo.
It's a call to action. It's about taking control of your life and creating a future that aligns with your values.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of your money or your life.
There's so much depth to this book. It's definitely worth a read.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, if you're ready to start rethinking your relationship with money and create a life that's truly fulfilling, we highly recommend checking out Vicki Robin's Your Money or Your Life. It's a game changer.